Hey, welcome back to Principles of Marketing. For this week, I am going to let you read about Chapter 14. I'm going to concentrate and lecture on Chapter 15. Chapter 14's, I don't know, I think the content in there you can get just through reading. I don't want to say it's simple, but yeah, maybe it's the best way to put it. Just read through that one, and then Chapter 15, I'll talk to you about a little bit more in depth here. Also, there are two short videos under the instructional content for this module that have to do with MTV. I'd say total they account for maybe 7 or 8 minutes. Watch those two videos and they will help you answer question 3 on the quiz. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. First, we'll talk about this idea of the promotional mix. The promotional mix is we have a bunch of tools, and how do we make those tools work together to achieve what we want? So if you think about Coca-Cola, they don't just hit you with TV advertising. There's also print advertising. There's also billboards. There's also logos on the sides of trucks. There's any of them. There are end caps in grocery stores. There are you walk in the grocery store and they have some sort of display built out of the boxes. There are all these things that are done together to try and get the customer to do what they want, to try and persuade them to buy it or to be aware of the product or whatever. So we're going to talk about the promotional mix, and then integration. Integrated marketing communications is kind of like, if we have all these different ways of presenting information, what's really important is that we do it in a way that makes sense, so that we're giving one message out there so that everyone is on the same wavelength, and that there aren't confusing, conflicting messages out there. So the example I would give would be that I doubt CVS is going to run an ad campaign about their green friendliness while they're giving out 6 foot long receipts. That the two are inherently in conflict. And so if you have a marketing message like that you're being green friendly, it has all of your behaviors and all of your marketing communications have to be in alignment. And what CVS does with those 6 foot long receipts is, what they found is that there's a small, loyal part of their consumer base that uses those receipts, which drives up their check average, that they spend more at CVS because they get all those receipts and it's more profitable. And so that is the marketing message that's important to them, and they don't want to come up with something that's in conflict with that. So integrated marketing communications is to have all of your communications integrated with a sort of a single message. So I said, your promotional mix is the combination of things that you do to try and convince a consumer to buy it, or to try a product, or even to remind them about it. It's all the combination of the different ways of talking to them or reaching out to them. So here is an illustration talking about the way that communication works. This is an important idea when you're thinking about trying to reach someone, that you have a source, who the information has come from. Then that information is encoded. We put it in a format so that someone can receive it. So that could be, we put it in print, or we create a picture, or we create a jingle, or whatever it is. We're gonna transform it into something that the consumer can understand. I think I've told you this before. If you see a red octagon, it's encoded with a message. It means stop. You don't even have to read it. You just see that red octagon, and it has encoded meaning. So then we have the channel of communication, how we choose to put the message out there. And then there's noise. And noise is everything that distracts us. So it could be the things that are going on in our environment. I mean, I think I've asked you this before. If you're sitting there, how many of you have watched television and had your phone open at the same, your phone up at the same time and your laptop at the same time? You've got all these screens that are distracting you. So how does the message cut through that noise to get your attention? Um, Noise, there are other things that noise can be, but it's pretty much anything that interferes with the message being received. The message is the core of what you're trying, what the advertising and the marketing is about. The channel of communication is the way that you choose to get it there. So TV, print, word of mouth. And then once you get the message, you have to, or the receiver has the person who gets it has to decode it. You get, like I said, you see that red octagon, then you look at it and you, I know that means stop. And so that's the message being broken down and understood to the receiver, the person who's getting it. And what they want to do is ultimately there's a response. So maybe the response is that they go out and they buy the product. That's a response. And if you're a marketer, you say, wow, we've ran these commercials and we get this much increase in people buying it. That's our response and our feedback. Same thing if nobody buys. It's like, well, we've done it and we're getting no results. Well, that's a response. So this is the model of the communication, of the way communication works. So here's a text representation of that model that I was just telling you about, the different parts of it, the communication source, message, channel, receiving, and feedback. So the communication is the conveying of the message, and it's the different parts we talked about: the source of the message, the communication, the receiver, and the decoding and encoding. A source is the person who is the information to convey. The message is the information. The channel of communication is the way that it's conveyed. The receiver is the person on the end. Um, more uh, about this communication process, encoding and decoding we've talked about. Field of experience is this kind of the water we swim in, that we have to understand. It's kind of our common understanding, that as an advertiser, I think I know who the consumer is, but I don't. What I know is what I know. I have my field of experience, and if I'm trying to reach out to a very, very different group, or a very different market, they have a different field of experience. Their worldview is different. What they've encountered is different, and the messages that I put in there, the things that I encode, the buzzwords and things like that, may not work. So I need to understand their field of experience. Okay, talked about that already. Um, let's see, talked about all these. Okay, so now we have the elements of the promotional mix, the things that we have to play with. So what we can do, we have advertising, personal selling, public relations, sales promotion, and direct marketing. So advertising is kind of this one to many. Uh, Advertising is not customized. If you think about an ad on television or radio or in a magazine, it's like the marketer creates it, and it goes out there and everybody sees the same thing. So it's a mass approach. We pay for the space or the time, and it's good at reaching a bunch of people. It tends to be expensive, and we don't get a lot of feedback. We put the ad out there, and then hopefully people buy something, but there's not a lot of back and forth about how effective the means is. Now we look at this contrasted to personal selling, which is having a salesman. We have a salesperson who's paid to go out there, and sell an item. And what's good about personal selling, we get immediate feedback. If your approach is successful or the consumer likes or dislikes the product, immediate feedback. It can be really persuasive. You can really hit a particular audience narrowly. You can send a salesperson after a single person, and you can give complex information. So if we compare this to advertising, on advertising we have to give very general information because we don't know who our market is. But with personal selling, we can give real, it's like being able to demonstrate something. Think about buying a car. You go in and you get lots of information about how this works and how that works. And you give it a test drive, and they show you the features and all, and you get a lot of hands-on specific information. So personal selling is good for that. Now, it is extremely expensive per exposure, meaning that for every customer, it takes a single salesperson a lot of time to interact with them. So that's relatively very expensive. And there's the potential for, since we have this human element of the salesperson, different salespeople are going to approach things differently, have different types of messages. Now, compare this with public relations. Public relations are the things that we do kind of like to be a good citizen. And it is, again, it's not directed to any one person, so it's a mass approach. And we don't pay media for this. This is just stories about our company that get picked up because of things we're doing. So like if we have a trash cleanup, or if we sponsor a softball, local softball team or something like that. There's no payment to the media. We're not out there soliciting people to come look at the good we're doing. And as such, this is often perceived as being the most credible source of information to the consumer, because these are just nice people. This company's made up of nice people. They're doing a good thing, perhaps. On the other hand, negative public relations, again, is credible in the consumer's mind at all. If a company gets caught doing something bad, it has that carryover effect of like, this company is a bunch of criminals, a bunch of dishonest people. Weakness is it's difficult to get the media to pay attention to what you're doing. Promotion. So these are all the things that we do to increase sales, like end caps or buy one get ones or coupons or things like this. They're not customized, so the same type of promotion goes out to everybody. The cost varies widely. It's good at changing behavior in the short run. If you think about going in a grocery store and they have an end cap display, that's really good at getting people to notice your cereal that's on the end cap. But it's a short-term thing, and it also tends to be really flexible, which is a plus. It is easily abused. This type of work, like you can, if you discount a price, if you do a coupon, your consumer can come to depend on that, and won't, maybe they get in a situation where I'm only going to buy when it's on sale. It can lead to promotion wars. So if I have a deal where my approach is, I'm going to be the everyday leader in low prices, and one of my competitors tries to undercut my price, well, then I have to lower my price. And then they lower their price, and then I lower my price. And eventually we're losing money. And the other thing about sales promotion is it's easily duplicated. Taco Bell has always been a very innovative company. And they did things like invent the value meal and the value menu. And that gave them about a year of really, really great sales until every fast food restaurant added a value menu. So the promotions tend to be easily duplicated. And then direct marketing, things like mailings and things like that can be customized. The cost varies, but it can be relatively expensive. It's pretty quick if you think about the emails. Think about political emails. How long is it after there's a scandal until you get someone emailing you asking you for money because this candidate said this or this candidate said that? I mean, it's within minutes. And the other thing about direct marketing is you can develop a relationship. Downside of direct marketing is consumer burnout. You get so many messages, you start to ignore them. And the maintaining of a database can be expensive. Okay. Oh, well, let's see. I've already talked about this. So advertising is paid and it's non-personal. So think about an ad on television that everybody who's watching that channel sees the same ad. It's not designed to specifically appeal to you. Um, and the advertiser is paying to have it put on there. So advertising any paid form of non-personal communication about an organization, product, service, or idea by an identified sponsor. Personal selling, like I said, this is where you have a salesman, and it's two-way communication between the buyer and the seller. So the buyer and the seller can discuss something. It's like, oh, I don't like this color. Well, this other color is available. We can have it for you tomorrow. And let's see, what's the okay. Publicity and public relations, good for it's non-personal, it's not direct, it's indirectly paid, um, and it is the things that we do that where we try and influence opinions consumers have about a company. Let's see. Talked about promotion and direct marketing previously. So sales promotion is a short-term inducement. So it's anything that'll arouse interest. So it's a coupon, it's an end cap, it's a cutout, it is someone handing out free samples, it is buy one, get one free. All of these fall under the umbrella of sales promotion. And direct marketing is all the things we do where we're communicating with the customer, like through email or through phone calls or direct mailings or things like that. So when we talk about our promotional mix, what we want to talk about is how are we using all these tools? Um, First off is like the balance of efforts. Uh, I run ad. Think about auto manufacturers. They run ads. So that is one type of marketing, getting people aware of the vehicles getting them into the dealerships. But once you get there, it's a different type of marketing because then it becomes direct selling, where they have salesmen who talk to you. And, or think about houses, same sort of idea. We have the street sign, the signs in front of the houses that identify them as being for sale. We have salesmen who will talk to you if you're interested about them. We have magazines of real estate listings. So it's a combination of all these things in the promotional mix. But what's important again is that we give a consistent message um, about the message we're trying to convey should be the same across all the platforms. Now, the promotional mix and how we talk about products and uh, um, the way we sell them changes depending on where the product is in its life cycle. And there are four steps in this product life cycle. There's an introduction stage, the growth stage, the maturity, and then the decline. So the introduction is a new product. No, not many people are aware of. The growth stage is as it's become popular, it's taking off. The maturity stage is as we're kind of maximizing the amount of sales, the sales volume of a product, and it's well accepted, and everybody knows what it is. And the decline stage is something else has come along to replace it, and our sales are going down. So here's an illustration of the product life cycle. And in the introduction phase, I think I've told you this. This is the area where sales are low and our profitability is pretty low. Not much is being sold, and we have to recoup our development cost. In the growth stage, sales are increasing, but our profit is increasing even more because we don't have competitors yet, hopefully. So And also, the product is new, it's popular. We don't have to spend any money on research and development because it's a new product. At maturity, our sales continue to go up, but our profitability actually declines somewhat. I mean, we're still making money, but now we have competitors. So maybe we've had to lower prices or we've had to develop new products or things like that. And then in the decline phase, sales are going down and profitability goes down. But as long as profitability is above zero, as long as there's money to be made, we continue to sell the product. So since the life cycle affects, our sales or reflect our sales and profitability, the way we promote it needs to be customized to match that. So in the introduction stage, this is where we're doing things like advertising in magazines, or having people making cold calls, or we're giving out free samples. When you go to the grocery store and they give you a free sample of a new product, this is what they're doing. They're trying to make you aware of, oh, try this new flavor of potato chip, try this new product we have for making dinner. The reason they're giving out those free samples is to introduce you to the product. Now, if you like the product and you start buying it, then you're in the growth phase. And so in the growth phase, once you like a product and you're going to buy it, then we kind of switch off the let intermediaries take over. So like now, if you think about the free samples that go out in the grocery stores, now it becomes a job of the grocery store to start putting together displays and things like that. And what we want to do is we want to sell to the intermediaries. Hey, our product, people are aware of it, they like it. So instead of dealing with the public, now we're dealing with, for instance, our retailers and saying, hey, this product is popular, let us help you sell it. And also we want to differentiate our product from other brands, to try and to grow and maintain our market share. Then as we're in maturity, the objective becomes to remind people, hey, we're still out there. We still are the best. We still have this product. So it's a lot of, putting the name out there. And we also, since now we're probably likely to have competitors, we're going to start offering discounts and coupons and events and things like that. Maybe we're going to personal selling, depending on the product, and we're going to remind people about the product. Then as we go to decline, and it's not making very much money, our goal is to harvest, to make money, and to phase it out. So at this stage, you don't spend much money on promotion. The people who want the product are going to continue to buy it. And as long as it's profitable, you continue to sell it, but you don't invest much in it, if anything. So now we'll talk about some different types of strategies that we can use with a product. We have a push strategy and a pull strategy. So I have a product and I want to get people to buy it. And I have two approaches I could try. So let's say that I am I've manufactured a new cookie. So here are two ways I can do it. I could go to the grocery store and say, here is my great new cookie, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it to you, 2 for 1, 2 boxes for the price of 1 box. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do displays for you. I'm going to do giveaways. I'm going to come in and do the end cap displays for you. I'll do all of that. So I'm pushing. So what I'm doing is I'm talking to the intermediaries, I'm talking to the stores or the channel members and getting them to buy the product. And then they'll put the product out and the consumers will see it and buy it. That's a push strategy. Now a pull strategy could be, I am the cookie manufacturer and here's what I'm going to do. I am going to mail all my consumers samples of my super delicious cookies. And I'm going to run a bunch of ads on TVs. And in those ads, I'm going to say, contact your local store and tell them you want this cookie. And so what's going to happen there is the consumer, I'm going to the end consumer. Now that end consumer is going to put pressure on the channel members to get the product. So what we have here is we have two different ways of approaching it. I can either go where I push it through the stores, I concentrate my marketing effort on the people who are going to be selling my product, or I can concentrate my efforts on the people who are going to be buying my product. And so you make a distinction, and sometimes we'll do some combination of both. But these are two different approaches to our promotions. Oh, so just here's an illustration of that. The push strategy, I am taking the product, I am going to, I'm going to do things. I'm going to encourage the wholesaler. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to give them promotions. I'm going to give them discounts if they buy in volume that they'll pass on the retailer. The retailer is getting this product, a good deal on it, so they're going to offer it and really try and sell it because they have potential to be profitable to the consumer. Whereas the pull strategy, what I'm going to do as a manufacturer is I'm going to go right to the consumer and say, hey, we have this great product. And that consumer is then going to put pressure on the retailer and say, I want this product. And the retailer is going to go to their supplier and go, hey, I have consumers who want this product. The wholesaler is going to go to the manufacturer and say, hey, I need to buy some of that stuff from you. So two different ways of approaching this. And when we do promotions, there's this hierarchy of effects, which is, what are we trying to get the consumer to do? What's our goal? So sometimes it's just to get the consumer aware that the product exists. Okay, so if I were to ask you, hey, do you have a pain reliever? And you can say, well, you want aspirin or Tylenol? Well, it's kind of interesting. Aspirin and Tylenol are both brand names. Aspirin is actually a brand name. It's been in the market so long that it's become generic, but originally it was a brand name. So that's awareness. Then interest is, someone is kind of, you're doing your promotion in a way to get them curious about your product. And so we see these all the time in the ads for older men, for like the erectile dysfunction advertising. It's like, hey, have you had this, or any kind of advertising for medical problems. It's like, hey, have you had this problem or this issue? And so it's like, well, maybe I should look into that product, whatever it is. And then there's the evaluation, where we want to get someone to, they're aware of our products, and now we start talking about what it'll do, some specifics. Hierarchy, the next one is trial. We get someone to try the product. So if you've ever gotten a free sample of anything, that is the trial. That's what they're if we can get them to try the product, we can convert them. Maybe they'll really like it. Next step is adoption. Advertising, I'm going to get you to buy it. So have you ever seen an ad that will say, act now for a limited time only? That the goal there with that limited time only is to get you to buy. And now even better is if I can get you to, buy this product repeatedly. And then the last one is to have loyal customers, where customers evangelize for our products for us. Last slide here that I'm going to go over. These are all different sort of philosophical ways to approach our promotion budget. Nobody has an unlimited budget, so we have to decide how much money we're going to spend to achieve our objectives. And these are just different ways of looking at that problem. So we can do our marketing in terms of a percentage of sales. We're going to spend 3% of our sales are just going to go right back into marketing. Or you could say, here it's listed as competitive parity budgeting. And what that means is, well, whatever our competitors spend, we're going to spend. If they have an ad on during the Super Bowl, we're going to have an ad on during the Super Bowl. Other times you could do all you can afford budgeting. And this is very common, especially with a lot of startup companies, is like, I've got to get the product out there. So every penny I can afford for marketing, I'm going to spend. Everything is going to go into marketing to get people aware of my product and buy it. And then the last one is we could have task budgeting, where I have something that I want to achieve. I want to increase brand awareness, or I want to increase my sales to 1 million, or whatever it is. And then I work backwards to determine how much is it going to cost to achieve that objective. And then that's what I'm going to spend. All right, so that is it for this week's lecture. If you have any questions, I'll be available in the D2L chat, or feel free to message me. Be sure and watch those 2 little videos about MTV and answer question 3 on the quiz, and I will talk to you guys later.